Senator Sullivan. I applaud Senator Cruz. We want to be able to keep Americans safe who are getting in airplanes every day. We want to keep Americans safe who are working in the military.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
Now, a four-man charged in a Chinatown double homicide will soon learn his fate.
Impacts from the government shutdown now hitting the skies with the FAA canceling flights across the country. The latest, we have a live report straight from O'Hare.
Things are tense yet again at the Broadview Ice facility. A group of mothers were put in handcuffs. We'll tell you why. Good afternoon. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Terrence Lee.
And I'm Tia Ewing. Right now, we're waiting for the announcement of a verdict in the Chinatown double murder trial.
Yeah, prosecutors say Alvin Thomas shot two men during a robbery attempt in the early morning hours of February 9th, 2020. Thomas is charged of first-degree murder. The victims' families are demanding life without the possibility of parole. We are told a verdict has been reached, and we are waiting on the announcement. As soon as it comes down, we will let you know.
Well, it may be time for you to pull out some of that salt that you have stored away from the last time around, some of those layers. Yeah, I know we say it ain't snow all the time. What did you say, Pierce?
Snow way.
Snow way.
Snow way.
Yeah, snow way, March Drill.
It's not going to be that heavy.
Oh, no.
No, it's going to be more just slippery and maybe a little slimy at times.
Now,
there is one possible exception, and that comes on Sunday into Monday with some lake effect snow, mostly northwest Indiana, but here in Chicago, I don't think you're going to have to fire up that snowblower. In fact, you will not have to. It's going to be more of a rain-snow mix coming up as early as tomorrow into the evening. Right now, look at it. It's sunny. It's rather pleasant. We have some mild temperatures. Enjoy it because these are not going to last. High temperatures today all the way up into the lower 60s, 63 degrees. Both airports also at the lakefront. 63 degrees out through the Fox Valley and 67 today in La Salle, Peru. That'll be just a distant memory coming up as we've got some colder air filtering in over the next 24 hours along with some moisture. This will be sliding in from the north and from the northwest, and that will bring us, again, a chance of some rain and snow with temperatures taking a tumble. And, again, some lake effect snow setting up, especially Sunday night, and into Monday. I'll tell you more about that straight ahead.
All right, Mark. Well, after much back and forth, it's still unclear if Americans will receive SNAP benefits for November.
Yeah, as we've reported, a judge ordered the Trump administration to release emergency funds to keep the program running. But the Trump administration is fighting that decision. Vice President J.D. Vance says they won't let a federal judge tell them how to deal with the government shutdown. SNAP helps some 42 million Americans buy groceries. Meanwhile, the FAA has ordered airlines at 40 major airports to cut flights because of the government shutdown. Started with a 4% reduction today, it will increase to 10% by next Friday.
O'Hare and Midway both landed spots on that list. Casey Cronus is live at O'Hare with the latest on the ground. Are you seeing any trouble there yet, Casey?
Well, Tia and Terrence, cancellations are ticking upward. At least 90 flights here at O'Hare have already been canceled today, and that's compared to just 15 in total yesterday. The FAA says it had to make these changes because of staffing issues. The government shutdown is causing a strain on pilots and air traffic controllers in particular. Today, passengers are experiencing that first wave of cuts with a 4% reduction in flights, and it will get worse. By Tuesday, reductions will bump up to 6%, then 8% next Thursday before 10% on Friday. United announcing that customers are eligible for refunds, even if their flight has not been impacted.
If you're traveling today, Saturday, or Sunday, you have already gotten a text message or an email letting you know flights have been canceled, and you can rebook directly on our amazing United app. If you want a refund due to cancellation, that will be available to you. If you don't want to rebook or simply don't want to fly, that's okay.
DePaul University professor and aviation expert Joe Schwederman says cuts are unprecedented, and it's leaving many travelers to wonder if their Thanksgiving travel plans will get off the ground at all.
Thanksgiving is still a couple weeks away. The pressure in Washington is just enormous to get this solved. So I do think Thanksgiving will be okay. We never know, but it does. This is a whole new political dimension here. I've been watching aviation for decades, and this is a whole new twist. It's more akin, I think, to when the FAA grounds a certain kind of airplane, the airlines have to respond, and it just throws their schedules out of kilter.
And the FAA says all airlines are required to issue refunds. Over at Midway, there's been a total of 18 cancellations so far today. Reporting live at O'Hare, Casey Cronus, Fox 32, Chicago.
And of course, we do have some breaking news. Casey, we thank you for that report, but we definitely want to get to it. You're looking at aerial footage right now from the Fox 32 helicopter that is up. We know that there was a stolen ambulance, a police chase, and unfortunately, we know that ambulance did crash. This is on the west side of the city of Chicago.
It looks like the ambulance possibly did it. We're in that car in front of it, or it's hard to tell what's the hood and what's the trunk. But you see all the police activity out there. We are making calls to get to the bottom of this, and you see all the officers standing around as well. So no word what led up to this.
And so we do know that they were traveling and chasing this ambulance for a very long time. And eventually this came to an end on the west side. Just looking at the color of the ambulance, it kind of looks like it's one that belongs to the city of Chicago,
yeah,
right? It kind of looks like, a city ambulance there. So, of course, we're on top of this trying to figure out what is going on. It looks like police has actually taken possibly that suspect out of the ambulance right now and escorting him into one of the Chicago police vehicles where it looks like he is being detained at this time. Again, we don't know what led up to this, but again, this was a police chase. They were chasing a stolen ambulance. They traveled quite a distance, ended up right there on the west side of the city, and it sadly came to an end with a crash. We will stay on top of this to see if someone was injured in this, because like you said, it looked like he did rear end a vehicle.
And you just hope no one was in the back of the ambulance either, needing medical attention prior to whatever happening there. But again, we're going to stay on top of this. We're making calls. As soon as we get more information, we will pass that along. But a lot going on today, waiting on that verdict to come down, the Chinatown double homicide, and now this situation going on as well here in the city of Chicago on the west side. And
we will go back to this throughout our newscast, so stay with us for more information on this. We want to get to some other news right now. Frustrations, they definitely continue to grow for travelers. President Trump says he has a plan that looks beautiful, right?
Considering everything view of DC.
That's going on. But the president says he has a plan to end the shutdown. This is a live look at the nation's capital, where both Senate Republicans and Democrats say they want the same thing here. However, none of them have proposed plans that are expected to stick. Chad Pergram explains.
President Trump doubling down on what he'd like lawmakers to do to end the shutdown.
If we terminate the filibuster, the second vote that we will take will be to open up the country. If the filibuster is not terminated, then we will be in a slog with the Democrats, and very little for either party will be done.
So far, Senate Republicans won't nuke the filibuster, but they're designing a new plan.
We've given them everything, essentially, that they were asking for, the reasonable Democrats.
Senate Republicans want to fund veterans and farm programs, plus Congress through September next year. The rest of the government into January. There could be a sidebar to address Democrats' demands on health care, but Democrats are not swayed.
Leader Thune just needs to add a clean one-year extension of the ACA tax credits to the CR so that we can immediately address rising health care costs.
The new plan is all about the math. 60 votes are needed.
This is really a handful of Democrats who, it's all we need is 5 to come forward, but they, again, are being bullied by their leadership.
Meanwhile, Democratic leaders blame President Trump.
Until Donald Trump either gets off the sidelines or gives Mike Johnson permission to actually have a meaningful conversation, we're not going to see anything productive emerge from the House of Representatives.
A weekend test vote on the new plan likely fails. It needs 60 yeas, and that requires Democratic buy-in. An end to the shutdown is likely weeks away. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox 32 Chicago.
All right, we want to go back to that breaking news we were following just moments ago. The police chasing a stolen ambulance. The chase, I should say, coming to a crashing end here. We're just getting some new details in about this situation.
Yeah, so we know this is at Madison and Central. This is right in the heart of the Austin neighborhood, a very busy area around this time, really any time of day here. What we've learned is that this was a chase where Chicago police were chasing this ambulance, apparently and allegedly, right, because we're still waiting to confirm some of these details. The person that was driving this ambulance that decided to steal it was an actual mental health patient of some sort. We don't know if that person was at some point being loaded into this ambulance and that's how they got access, but that is what we know. At one point was going eastbound on Chicago and Central, going the wrong way, ended up swerving all over the place, ramming into multiple cars along the way on Lake and Central as well. This is Cicero ambulance number 15 that was stolen. And so what we know is that it came to an end with this person driving it, stealing it, and crashing into multiple cars there. We are hearing reports that shots were possibly fired by police here, and we did see police take someone into custody and put them in back of one of those Chicago police squad cars.
It does sound like the suspect possibly was injured in this process as well as an officer too. So we'll stay on top of that as well for you. But again, we don't know how this began, how long the chase was even going on here. But we do know earlier we saw that video of the police just swarming that suspect there. I would say at least 10, 12 officers.
And it could have been one of their own, considering that we do know one of their own, you know, one of the officers in this was sadly injured by these circumstances. So it could have been potentially one of the officers. I think the big question here going forward will be, how did that person get access to this ambulance? Again, it sounds like this person has some issues going on, mental health issues. Were they being loaded into this vehicle and they decided this is my opportunity to get away, and then stole the ambulance? Of course, we will continue to learn more throughout this newscast, so stay with us for that.
All right, we want to get to tensions now high at the Broadview ICE facility yet again after a federal judge blocked agents from using force.
And now business and civic leaders are opposing Trump's deportation tactics. Political reporter Pierce Schutz has the very latest on this. Pierce?
Yeah, so Tia and Terrence, the very latest here. The Illinois State Police says it made 14 arrests this morning during a tense standoff featuring a group of West suburban mothers who were protesting outside the Broadview facility. This all comes as business, faith, and civic leaders are now lending their voices in opposition to aggressive deportation tactics.
Local police officials arrested the self-described moms group practicing civil disobedience by sitting in the street outside of the prescribed First Amendment zone. Later, an interfaith group of clergy held a prayer service calling for an end to what they say is the, quote, violence and destruction across Chicago's neighborhoods.
Our faith demands that we be out here. Whenever we see injustice and we see immorality going on in our city, this president has declared war on Chicago. Our citizens, our mothers, our fathers, our children, snatching them from homes and jobs and daycares and doing work.
It comes one day after federal judge Sarah Ellis issued a sweeping injunction against the use of force, saying past practices, quote, shocked the conscience, and 2 days after Judge Aaron Gettleman ordered DHS to improve conditions at the Broadview facility, mandating mats for inmates to sleep on, ample access to water, food, and bathrooms, and greater transparency. In the loop this morning, a group of business and civic leaders, like former U.S. Education Secretary and CPS Superintendent Arnie Duncan, along with Ariel Investment CEO John Rogers and Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce President Jack Lavin. They came together to say they are speaking out against the raids with one unified voice.
This is not about law enforcement. It's actually meant to undermine and to humiliate local authorities and to try and remind folks who really is in charge.
The business leaders say the economic toll from aggressive deportation tactics and a climate of fear is starting to be felt.
Workers and customers alike are afraid for their safety and staying home rather than risking arrest. Tourists are being deterred from visiting our city. The needless unpredictability discourages consumer activity, especially hurting small neighborhood businesses that depend on steady foot traffic.
Well, plaintiffs in the lawsuit against Broadview say they want the ability to inspect the facility and have oversight. Trump administration lawyers say they are in compliance with the judge's temporary restraining order. There will be another status hearing next week in that Broadview detention facility case. Tia.
And we'll be following it every step of the way. Pierce, thank you so much. We have new information about a teacher detained by ICE. According to reports, Diana Galliano is now being held at an ICE facility in Indiana. Her attorneys say she is here legally and is an authorized asylum seeker. The Department of Homeland Security claims the woman went into the daycare while actually trying to escape from agents during a traffic stop. She's expected in federal court come next week.
The Supreme Court weighs in on a major passport ruling.
It could affect how you identify yourself when you travel.
New at 4 o'clock, an Illinois man is facing serious charges in Utah. The Cook County Sheriff's Office says 40-year-old John Bonolis was arrested in Cicero. They say he's wanted for kidnapping and sexual assault. He was charged before for something connected to the January 6th riot. That's why you were looking at that video. But those charges were dropped. Right now, he's being held at the Cook County Jail.
Well, the U.S. Supreme Court is weighing a long-shot appeal to overturn the landmark decision legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide.
That appeal is from a former Kentucky court clerk who refused to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples after the court's 2015 ruling. She is now fighting a jury verdict that awarded $360,000 in damages to a same-sex couple she denied a license. The justices could decide as early as Monday what they'll do with this case.
Well, meantime, the Supreme Court is allowing the Trump administration to block transgender and non-binary people from marking their passports with the gender they actually align with. The ruling stops a lower court order which requires the government to let people choose male, female, or X on their passports. The changes were enacted by an executive order issued shortly after the president took office.
On Wall Street today, trading ended a mix after dropping to session lows as the tech sell-off continues. Nvidia and Tesla led the drop. The Nasdaq had its worst week since April. Investors are concerned AI stocks are overvalued. Also, new data shows consumer sentiment has hit near record lows. Well, Chicago's Green Schoolyard program, Space to Grow, is throwing a party for their new playground in the city.
Today, James Farmer Jr. Elementary School became the newest recipient of a remodeled outdoor space. The organization has transformed dozens of spaces over the past 10 years, turning asphalt schoolyards into vibrant spaces with new equipment, outdoor classrooms, and gardens for students to explore. Playgrounds are also designed to handle thousands of gallons of stormwater during major rain events.
The design, the color, the sense of adventure, it all reflects the spirit of this community. This isn't just a schoolyard. It's a place for connection, discovery, and creativity, where kids can simply be kids and rise to soar.
Where a kid can be a kid. Yeah, one more playground is set to open at Myra Bradwell School of Excellence later this month. And it's said that that playground can handle major rainwater. We had some rain overnight.
Expecting some precipitation of some sort.
Within days, the playground is going to be covered.
And those cheerleaders will be cheering, "Brr,
yeah,
it's cold in here."
With sweats on, right?
Yeah, because this was about to drop to the what? The 30s mark?
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, no.
Got a feeling
Shout out to Kool-Aid man.
Oh, yeah. Feel like I should burst through a wall. Well, we have some temperatures that are going to be bursting through from the north. Look at these numbers right now. Look at this. We are in the 60s. Enjoy the moment, because these are the last mild temperatures we're going to have, at least for the next 7 days, before we do see a little bit of a warm up, but not quite this warm. We are in the low 60s in Chicago. We've had some upper 60s southwest of the city. Right now we're enjoying some sunshine, so sunshine temperatures in the mid and upper 60s. And that is about it, because by Sunday, we're talking about 30s for daytime highs. Here's a look at what we expect to see. Fair skies this evening, and then as we go through the later evening hours, this is 8 o'clock tonight, you start to see some clouds drift in. We do have a chance of a few sprinkles and showers, primarily from the city northward. And then as we head towards tomorrow, this is 8:15 in the morning. A lot of clouds, but still dry across the area throughout most of the early morning hours. But watch what happens as we go towards the afternoon. We're talking about some rainfall and some decent amounts of rainfall, some decent showers coming in. By the afternoon, colder air starts to filter in. This is late afternoon, and by the evening, the blue is snow. So a little rain-snow mix. It could be a little bit later than this. Our forecast models are bringing it in during the mid-evening and the early evening. It may be a little bit later. In some cases, it may even be after midnight. But nonetheless, this is the trend that we're dealing with in about 24 hours. After that, let's take you through the rest of the weekend. You see, we do have a mix of sun and clouds on Sunday, but this is Sunday during the afternoon. Still some lake effect snow showers coming down the lake. And in terms of any accumulation, this is where the possibility is. It's from this lake effect snow that's going to occur on Sunday into Monday. And that's mostly northwest Indiana, but the final trajectory we're still keeping an eye on. So let's take you through the next 48 hours. Clouds increase as we go through the evening and the overnight. A couple of showers are possible on the North Shore, basically from the city northward tonight. Brief rain, not all that significant. More significant rainfall comes tomorrow on your Saturday, and temperatures tomorrow only up into the 40s. So we go from the 60s today to the upper 40s tomorrow, to the 30s on Sunday. Again, a mix of some sun and clouds, some snow showers around the neighborhood. Yeah, we are definitely going to be keeping an eye on that as we go through the weekend and into Monday, and even a couple of flurries are possible on Tuesday. More on that in a moment.
All right, Mark, thank you so much. We do want to go back to that breaking news that ended in the Austin community right at Madison and Central. What's interesting about this location, we know, again, this was a stolen ambulance. It appears that it belongs to the village of Cicero there. And what's interesting about this is just blocks away from the Chicago Police District's 15th police station there, so the 15th district. And so I think that is why also you're seeing such a mass police response, because they're literally right around the corner, essentially, from, not even around the corner, up the street from the Chicago police station there. So Tell us what we're hearing, Terrence.
And it's a good thing, too. Loretto Hospital is pretty close to where this is happening as well. So those who were injured, because we understand at least 5 ambulances also showed up just to help out anyone who was injured, because we do know at this point, as the chase was happening, that stolen ambulance hit several parked cars. They hit several cars with drivers in them as well. So we have reached out to police for more information. As soon as we get that, including what led up to this, the response, all of that, if there were any more injuries besides the suspect and one of the officers, we understand, we will let you know as soon as we find out.
Right. Stay with us right here on Fox 32. We'll be right back after this short break.
Thousands of people hit by the Palisades fire in Southern California back in January are taking the city of L.A. and the state of California to court.
The $10 billion class action lawsuit accuses the state and local government of failures of epic proportions. That's their quote.
Sarah Allegre is live in the Pacific Palisades. Sarah, what's going on?
Yeah, Tia, Terrence, we're seeing a lot of back and forth within government agencies, and it all started 6 days before the Palisades fire. You know, there was this smaller fire burning. Firefighters, they were rushed to the scene. Then the LAFD that same day said it was contained, but crews there weren't so sure about that. Now, lawyers now talking and responding back to this, saying this was mismanagement from the city level, from the local level as well, the state level, and the state firing back saying that's untrue.
I couldn't be sure that we would make it out.
10 months ago, we were there as Casey Sabani and his family saw what was left of their home for the first time after the Palisades fire.
Just knew we've got to get out of here.
Today, they're still struggling to move on.
We are living the aftermath, and we've seen it, unfortunately, firsthand with a lot of kids who have their own form of trauma.
Casey is one of thousands who lost everything, and now lawyers for the victims and their families are seeking billions in damages from several entities.
There were systemic failures, both on the state and city level. in terms of the government actors, but there were also failures by non-governmental actors as well.
Here's where it gets complicated. The Palisades fire didn't just start on January 7th, according to federal prosecutors. On New Year's Day, 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht is accused of starting a smaller brush fire known as the Lockman Fire. The LAFD said firefighters contained and put out the fire the same day. On January 2nd, a battalion chief ordered crews to pack up and leave, according to texts obtained by the LA Times. Some firefighters warned it was too soon, even texting their boss it was a bad idea.
What we're seeing here is a record of knowing about the risks, being warned, but despite that, not properly deploying resources, not having effective communication and coordination.
Days later, on January 7th, the fire reignited and eventually exploded into the Palisades fire. Federal investigators later determined the fire smoldered and burned deep underground for days, untraced, until uncontrollable high winds created a firestorm. The lawsuit claims the city and state didn't follow their own rules and that failures to keep water and power running, along with poor land management, made the fire worse. Newsom's office says that's false, saying in part the state didn't start this fire, that was an arsonist, and the state wasn't responsible for responding to or monitoring this fire, but opportunistic plaintiffs' attorneys are now going after the California Department of Parks and Rec.
It's wrong to say that all of this is solely because somebody started a fire on January 1st. There's so much more that happened that caused the outcome that we are dealing with today.
And a federal grand jury, they've subpoenaed the Los Angeles Fire Department for those text messages obtained by the LA Times warning about hot spots, smoke, smoldering as well. Again, that fire, that New Year's Day fire that started 6 days before what turned into the Palisades. In Pacific Palisades, Sarah Allegre, Fox 32, Chicago.
All right, thank you so much, Sarah. Chicago is seeing more Mpox cases and fewer people are getting vaccinated.
Why health experts say the problem starts with silence.
And several Chicago police officers are hurt after a stolen ambulance crashed right into a squad car. We have the latest coming up.
If you want total health care from a provider you trust,
hi, Blair.
Right in the palm of your hand, if you want soup, sweatpants, and zero in-person contact, if you want wellness wherever, our virtual primary care delivers with great website manner.
No worries.
So choose your doctor from our profiles and enjoy the healthiest online relationship you've ever had. House calls have evolved. Advocate Healthcare.
Now at the bottom of the hour, Mpox never left Chicago, so why are more people getting sick now? And who's most at risk heading into the winter?
A high school coach is asking tough questions after he appealed IHSA violations.
But first, we want to go back to that breaking news of this stolen ambulance. It crashed into a squad car on the west side. We have learned new information about exactly what unfolded here. We have learned that this particular ambulance was stolen out of Cicero, and this is not the first time. It was actually stolen out of Loretto Hospital. It sounds like it was somewhere at Loretto Hospital. This isn't that scene right now, but we do want to update you on the scene that we had been looking at. We do know no patient was inside that ambulance at the time. Shots were fired by Chicago police. They had the person that stole this ambulance at gunpoint. They were able to get him out, but he obviously crashed into some cars along the way. And we do know 2 ambulances went to that scene specifically for police that were hurt in all of this. We got that information just by listening to some of the police scanner traffic there.
But of course, obviously, a lot of questions we still want answered. How long the chase lasted from start to finish, how fast the ambulance was moving through. Hopefully no one else was injured, but that is also information we do not have. The driver's identity, the motive here, whether the person has done anything like this before. So this is developing, and we'll have much more on it as soon as we get confirmation from police. We'll have the latest for you coming up at 5.
Yes, we will. So stick with us for that. Okay, we got to go back to the story about Coach Tim Flowers out of Simeon Career Academy. We've learned that obviously the team has been sanctioned with even more I guess, stipulations essentially from IHSA. They already had been hit with some violations for some things that they did already, and then they wanted to appeal it. The coach decided to make this plea to appeal, and it came with even stiffer stipulations here for this upcoming season. What's interesting about this story is I sat down with the coach myself. This is not the first time that they faced violations. In fact, he sent the team to Africa before. This was the summer of 2022. And there were violations presented by IHSA during that time. But this time he says, you know, I didn't receive any money for that trip. It wasn't like I did anything illegal on that trip to Africa. I didn't do anything illegal this time. And that's why he took that time to sit with me and decided that he will not be silent.
Try to address some of these unknowns.
Yes, take a look.
My message to Chicago is, you know, we got to step up and do things that may be untraditional, unconventional to help these kids.
For Coach Tim Flowers, basketball has never been just about the scoreboard. It's a passport, a way out, a way up, a way to give back. And for boys growing up in some of the toughest communities on the South Side, it's a way to be exposed to life beyond violence.
I got 2 young men. He's lost his father to gun violence. He was in a car with his cousin Greg, who was a freshman at Simeon, got killed by gun violence. He's lost so many people, and it's pent up in him, it's built up in him.
That's why the coach for Simeon Career Academy's Wolverines didn't hesitate at the chance for an overseas trip to Hong Kong this September for 6 days. Coach Flowers says it was never about competition.
And we were going for a cultural exchange, foreign exchange opportunity, but it was around the game of basketball, using basketball as a magnet to bring not only our kids to Hong Kong, but they also brought kids from Australia, kids from Japan, kids from Malaysia. Our boys were able to get out into the country with them. They were able to go out and go eat with them.
Documents provided by Flowers and reviewed by the Fox Chicago News team show Chicago Public Schools officially approved the trip before departure.
And this letter right here is the itinerary for everything we submitted to CPS that we would do on the trip.
Okay, so they were aware that you were going, exactly what you would do every single day.
Yes.
Those same records indicate the trip sponsors included Goat Lab, a Hong Kong-based training group, and the Derrick Rose Foundation, which helped fund travel costs for the players. Rose played at the school, along with many other NBA greats. But despite the approval, the IHSA later ruled that the trip violated bylaws restricting team activities outside the official season, citing organized practices, scrimmages, and coach instruction. Flowers appealed, and this letter from IHSA issued on October 15th came with harsher penalties.
And that turned into 6-game suspension for myself, a steady 4 games for my 2 assistant coaches. They reduced the number of season games we can play from 31 to 28. And then they also took away 3 or 4 of our initial practice days by pushing us back from November 10th, when everybody else in the state would be starting. They pushed us back to November 13th.
Now, Flowers says what hurts most isn't the suspension, it's the inconsistency. He argues that other Illinois programs have participated in fall leagues and out-of-state showcases without any consequences.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
If people are doing fall play, wouldn't that fall into the same thing?
The timing, Flowers says, couldn't be worse. With 7 seniors on the roster, many hoping to earn college scholarships, missing those first few games could mean missed opportunities in front of recruiters.
Maybe it's a college coach down there that might see one of our seniors and say, man, who is this kid? Let me follow him. So taking those 3 games away from them potentially takes opportunities away from them for sure.
Despite his frustration, Flowers says he'll take the hit and stay focused on the bigger picture. To him, the mission has always been bigger than basketball.
Would you do the trip again?
I would.
And take the same consequences?
I would. I won't stop fighting to get these kids opportunities. I prayed to God for that, and God has answered that by giving me the ability to provide resources and opportunities for these kids. Just so happened I went to Simeon and I coached there.
Tia Ewing, Fox 32, Chicago.
And of course, we did reach out to the IHSA and CPS for comment, and this is what CPS is telling us. Chicago Public Schools takes the findings and recommendations of the Illinois High School Association seriously and remains committed to ensuring that district policies and procedures uphold the highest ethical standards.
All right, here's something else we should all be taking seriously. Chicago is seeing more mpox, 13 new cases in 1 week. Back in August, there were about 30 total.
Now that number is 133 since June. Most cases involve men. Many identify as gay or bisexual, Latino, and Hispanic men are seeing the fastest growth.
Yeah, in suburban Cook County, about 96% of cases involve men, and more than a third are Hispanic or Latino. Health workers say the risk is low for most people, but outbreaks spread fast when people live or gather closely. That includes parties, gyms, shared housing, and even detention facilities where close contact is hard to avoid. Some people may also skip testing or treatment because of fears of immigration status. We're asking the Department of Homeland Security if they have a plan for that possibility. Scott Bertani, he is the director of advocacy for the National Coalition for LGBTQ Health, says the biggest issue right now is awareness.
We've been in such a challenging environment since COVID, right? That all bets are off about how public health is talked about within TV stations or the community, or how misinformation may spread. It then extends further to awareness efforts, and then a bit of a retrenchment, obviously, within CDC, and how we are losing the ability to have that.
There is a pop-up vaccine event Sunday at Touche Bar in North Clark. Chicago's Department of Public Health also offers walk-in clinics in Roseland, Austin, and Lakeview. The mpox vaccine requires 2 doses to fully work, even if the second dose is late. It's not too late. The shot is free and open to anyone who qualifies.
All right, well, let's take a live look outside right now. Look at those beautiful red trees just peeking out. It's like they're saying, hi, happy Friday. They are. They're so bright and beautiful. I'm trying to see the positive.
What was that voice again?
Hi, happy Friday.
You know, if I ever do an animated kids show, you're going to be the voice of the trees. Yeah.
Okay,
She can do the trees, and she can be Old Man Winter.
Old Man Winter.
Okay. I'm signing you up for 2 voices. Okay. You know what? Perfect. And you know what? You could do both of them, you know, coming up in the next 24 hours, because we go from, you know, the happy trees with some sunshine and temperatures now in the 60s into old man winter type weather coming up by Sunday with temperatures only in the 30s and some snow in the forecast. Yeah, we're in the 60s now almost everywhere you look. Temperatures in the low 60s, 57 now in DeKalb. They were in the 60s earlier this afternoon, but some cloud cover will be pushing in this evening. A small chance of a few sprinkles, maybe a shower coming in across the northern and northwest suburbs tonight. It should be pretty brief, couple of hours, not a big deal. More significant rainfall is coming tomorrow. I've got a 100% chance of rainfall tomorrow. And then we still have some odds of rain and some snow mixing together as we go into Sunday and into Monday. And look at these temperatures. So 60s right now. We're in the 40s coming up on Saturday, 30s on Sunday. 30s still sticking around the early part of the week before we finally kind of trickle back up into the 40s. Yeah, 60s. Some sunshine. You can't beat it, but it is not going to last long. Temperatures pushing through the 50s through the early overnight hours, eventually into the 40s. We're not going to be all that cold tonight, just into the 40s. It's just that we're not going to warm up afterwards. So a look at Futurecast. Cloud cover, there's your shot of some sprinkles and showers. Let's take you to 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Mostly quiet conditions. Some cloud cover across Chicago, but here's the next system heading our way. First, it's rainfall sliding through and some decent rainfall totals, I think, out of some moderately heavy rainfall that will be sliding across northern Illinois. We need it almost every location. By the late afternoon and more likely towards the evening, this is 7 o'clock, you're starting to see some snowfall creep into your forecast. And some more snowfall continues to creep down the lake in the form of some lake effect snow as we go Sunday and even into Monday. Talk more about that coming up. Stick around.
POV.
I need some of this right now. Lincoln Park is getting a sweet new addition. The famous Levin Bakery officially opened its doors this morning. The New York bakery, famous for its thick, gooey 6-ounce cookies, drew quite the quite the crowd, I should say. I can't even get it out. I want one so bad. This is outside of their new location. The first 100 customers walked in and walked away with a Levin goodie bag and, of course, fresh cookies right out of the oven. Owners Pam Weeks and Connie McDonald, they say they're both excited to be right in the heart of Lincoln Park.
Every opening is really special. This one feels really great. We've been trying to find a great location in Lincoln Park for a really long time. And we think that we really kind of found like a great home for us here, and the neighborhood has been amazing.
So welcoming. We're so excited. It's been so great to get out and talk to everybody and meet all the kids.
Somebody got to get out there and bring me one back to the station. Okay, this bakery started as a single shop in New York. This was back in 1995 and now has 18 locations around the country. Well, a lot of people are excited about this. The Grammy nominations are officially in. Sabrina Carpenter, Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber, Bad Bunny, and of course Kendrick Lamar's GNX album are front runners for Album of the Year. Coming up at 5, we'll take a closer look at this year's nominations. The 68th Annual Grammy Awards will be held in LA Sunday, February 1st. A new museum and community center is shining light on Black history and inspiring the new generation on the west side of Chicago. Block Club Chicago reports the Future Drive Empowerment Center just recently opened on North Avenue in the Galewood neighborhood, featuring exhibits honoring leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and former President Barack Obama. The space also includes an education center and recording studio. All of this is aimed at preserving African-American history while helping youth build skills and community pride. Founder Jimmy Gardner says the goal here is to keep Black history alive and to empower young people to shape the future of Chicago's West Side. Well, stay with us. Mark will be back with a final check of the forecast, and here's a look at your trip home on this Friday. Gorgeous skyline. Ooh, traffic's not too bad either. We'll see you on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
You know, Mark, some of us hear what you are saying about what's coming Sunday, and we actually smile, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, that's not me. Who's smiling?
Well, it's not
You
always
said some of
about
us
you.
here,
I said,
like right
no,
here.
I said some of us here, out there.
Oh, okay. You got to be specific with your here.
Yeah. So they're smiling because
It's a weekend.
There you go. I like that.
It's a weekend. The snow is coming. You know what I mean? Because it could be coming during the week. It could be during rush hour or something, but it's not.
I will say this. It was very refreshing to drive home yesterday, and for the first time, I noticed my neighbors had their Christmas decorations up, and I did think for a second, when it snows, this is going to look really beautiful.
Well, the beauty is going to settle in.
Silver linings.
I like, you guys are very, very positive.
We tried it.
Well, you know, I've got something positive if you don't like the snow, and that would be the weather right now. Look at this. We still have some sunshine. We'll have a the sun is technically already over the horizon, but you can still see that ambient sunlight kind of reflecting off some of the high clouds. We still have clear skies, and we still have very mild conditions, mostly in the 50s, even some 60s still holding on. But this will be the last time you'll be able to hold on to those 60s, at least for the foreseeable future, because we are taking a little dip as winter roars into Chicago coming up as we go into the weekend and early next week. Overnight low temperatures tonight. We hold on to the 40s here in the city, 30s to the north and northwest, from Rockford back to around Woodstock. Tomorrow, daytime highs below average. We'll be in the 40s coming up tomorrow. We'll be in the 30s coming up on Sunday, likely Monday as well. 100% chance of rainfall tomorrow. Rain, snow mix late on Saturday, mostly in the evening and the overnight hours, and some lake effect snow Sunday into Monday, northwest Indiana. I think you'll bear the brunt of the lake effect snow. Looking down towards the river this hour, winds out of the west-southwest at 9, still 69 degrees at O'Hare this hour. And again, the temps are mild still, very lovely temps. In fact, we're looking at temperatures in the lower 60s, places like Joliet, 60 degrees now, Morrison, Seneca, Ottawa, LaSalle, Peru. Satellite and radar. Told you there was a small chance we could see a couple of sprinkles, a shower coming in overnight. This is mostly from the city northward, and you can see just a couple of blips showing up here this evening. This should be around during the evening and then move on out during the late evening and the overnight hours. And then we are mostly cloudy overnight tonight before the rain pushes in tomorrow. So had clouds early. This is the sunshine we've had. Here comes the clouds with a little drizzle, a little bit of light rain, a couple showers around this evening. So today, yes, some sunshine. Tomorrow, some rain, mostly rain, but that rain will be mixing with and changing over to some snowfall as we head into tomorrow. Again, later in the day will be the most optimal time, and let's take you all the way into Monday. Some lake effect snow showers, not affecting much of the city, but again, the exact trajectory of where that little plume of snow comes in off the lake, still to be determined. I think mostly northwest Indiana, maybe parts of Michigan. So a little light rainfall tonight, in and out. Tomorrow, the early part of the day is quiet and calm. This is just before 9 o'clock in the morning. Rainfall pushing in late morning into the afternoon. You can see there's some yellows and reds indicating some moderately heavy rainfall. We could use it. This is 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night, and some snowfall on the backside where that cooler air is mixing in. And that will continue through the evening hours. Let's advance. This is Sunday morning. Lake effect snow coming down the lake, some rain at first, changing over to some snow. I think most of this issue will be northwest Indiana and southwest Michigan, but we're going to keep an eye on that as we go through the weekend. Tonight, 42, mostly cloudy skies, chance of some rain overnight, mostly from the city north. Tomorrow, 49. Rain. It'll be chilly, temperatures of 49 degrees. That rain mixes with and changes to some snowfall tomorrow night. Accumulations, I don't think we're going to have any accumulations tomorrow night. I think the ground's still going to be that warm, and I think we're going to be kind of right on the edge. Now, that could change when that lake effect snow comes in northwest Indiana for Sunday and Monday. Look at these temperatures, 35 degrees on Sunday, 38 degrees on Monday. We warm back up to around 45 degrees on Tuesday, and we're back in the 50s, in fact, back up to almost 60 degrees this time next Friday. Stick around. We're coming right back.
Now at 5, the Bears return home Sunday, but they will be without one of their key players on defense.
Hundreds of trips are being canceled or delayed across the country because of the government shutdown.
A high school basketball coach is defending an overseas trip with his team after he was hit with violations. Thank you so much for joining us at 5. I'm Tia Ewing.
And I'm Terrence Lee. We want to get right to some breaking news we have been following since the 4 o'clock. Several Chicago police officers are hurt after a stolen ambulance crashed into a squad car on the west side during a chase. Sky Fox was there when it happened at Chicago and Cicero. Now you could see the ambulance crashes head on with the squad car before rear-ending another car. Dozens of police get out. They surround the suspect who was taken into custody. Now, sources say this started in Cicero. The suspect was a mental patient. We're also hearing there were shots fired by police. We saw the suspect crash into several other cars during the chase as well and drive into oncoming traffic on several streets.
Yeah, we're also learning that Cicero, the village there, says the ambulance was stolen from Loretto Hospital, and this is not the first time that that has happened. And we do know that some police officers were hurt in all of this. This is a live look at the scene right now where it ended. As you can see, there are still a lot of police there. This is on the west side, Madison and Central. There's a lot that we still don't know, but we are keeping a close eye on this. And of course, we will update you as soon as we can.
We're also keeping a close eye on your forecast. The seasons will collide this weekend. A little bit of autumn, a little bit of winter. Sounds like two sisters.
Yeah, it does. Fighting.
Yeah,
that's what
duking
it
it out.
sounds like. Yeah,
be in the spotlight, Mark.
You know, that pretty much paints the picture of exactly what's going to be going on this weekend. There's so much stuff going on. I want to just run this scenario for you and tell you what you're up against. A little bit of light rainfall tonight. As you can see, not a big deal. It's kind of in and out as we go through the evening hours. This is tomorrow morning. A fair amount of cloud cover, but still mostly dry. Watch what happens during the afternoon. Rainfall moving in and some moderate and even some heavy rainfall sliding across the city. 9 o'clock tomorrow night. The blue indicates snow sliding in on the backside as some cooler air drops in and changes that rainfall over to snow and mixes with some rain and snow. And then as we go through the second half of the weekend, we're clear here in Chicago, at least clear from the snow, but it's lake effect snow that'll be ramming down the lake into northwest Indiana and especially southwest Michigan. We'll talk about this in more detail and give you a little bit more on the timing coming up later in this newscast.
All right, we'll see you then, Mark. Thank you. Let's take a live look at the U.S. Capitol. It is day 38 of the government shutdown. Senate Democrats were willing to end it today if health care tax credits were extended a year, and Republicans agreed to continue broader talks. But Republicans rejected it, calling the deal a non-starter. The Senate will probably work through the weekend. And the airspace is taking a major hit because of the shutdown.
The Federal Aviation Administration has ordered airlines at 40 major airports to cut back on flights.
And they say it's all in the name of safety. Casey Cronus is live at O'Hare with the latest there tonight. Casey.
That's right, Tia and Terrence. And at last check, we are up to 92 flights canceled here at O'Hare. By comparison, there were a total of 15 for all of yesterday. If you are traveling tonight, whether it's out of O'Hare or Midway, keep a close eye on the status of your flights. The FAA announced what aviation experts are calling an unprecedented move yesterday, but today the cuts began with a 4% reduction in flights. And passengers skipping town in the next week, buckle up. By Tuesday, reductions will bump up to 6%, then 8% next Thursday before 10% on Friday. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says this is about lowering the risk for something to go wrong as air traffic controllers continue to work long hours without pay, causing a strain on the system. David Fetterman was in Chicago for work and returning to Connecticut tonight. So far, his flight is delayed by about an hour, but tells me he hopes to keep it that way.
It's incredible. So many of my colleagues cannot get their way back home already. I got to be back on the road again next week, so I'm really concerned about it. Everyone's being pushed off, and there's no other alternative, which is not so good.
The order does not apply to international flights, and the FAA is requiring all airlines to issue refunds. Reps from United say they are getting a lot of questions about baggage.
As we're watching people rebook or change flights, we're actively monitoring their bags as well to ensure that they are traveling with the passengers. So when you get to your destination, there should be no hiccups.
If you haven't yet downloaded the app for your airline, you are encouraged to do so. You will get notifications about your flight through that app straight to your phone. You can also cancel and rebook there. Reporting live at O'Hare, Casey Cronus, Fox 32, Chicago.
Casey, thank you. President Trump has taken the fight over SNAP benefits back to court. The administration asked the Federal Appeals Court to block a judge's order forcing the government to distribute November's full monthly SNAP benefits. Ruling last week gave the feds until today to make the payment, but the Trump administration is asking the appeals court to suspend any court orders requiring it to send more money and spend more money than is available in a contingency fund. Mayor Brandon Johnson is taking Chicago's struggles global.
He spoke today before the United Nations Human Rights Council. He talked about immigration raids, food insecurity, and poverty hitting Chicago families. He told world leaders these aren't political issues, they're human rights issues. And he got personal when he described what it feels like to go hungry.
1 in 5 households in the city of Chicago receives federal assistance to address food insecurity. As a result of the federal government's budget cuts and shutdown, these families will be left without this vital assistance. As someone with firsthand experience, I can tell you how humiliating it is when you open the refrigerator and you have nothing to eat.
Well, Johnson also called out federal budget cuts that he says put Chicago's progress at risk. He invited UN leaders to visit the city and see those impacts up close and personal.
Tensions are high again at the Broadview ICE facility a day after a federal judge blocked agents from using force.
Business and civic leaders are now opposing Trump's deportation tactics. Political reporter Pierce Schutz has the very latest on this. Pierce?
Yeah, Tia and Terrence, the Illinois State Police says it made 15 arrests now during a tense morning standoff featuring a group of mothers from the west suburbs. They were protesting outside the Broadview facility, and this comes as business and philanthropic leaders are now lending some of their voices to the opposition to the aggressive deportation tactics. Local police officials arrested the self-described moms group practicing civil disobedience by sitting in the street outside of the prescribed First Amendment zone. Later, an interfaith group of clergy held a prayer service calling for an end to what they say is the, quote, violence and destruction across Chicago's neighborhoods.
Our faith demands that we be out here. Whenever we see injustice and we see immorality going on in our city, this president has declared war on Chicago. Our citizens, our mothers, our fathers, our children, snatching them from homes and jobs and daycares and doing work.
It comes one day after federal judge Sarah Ellis issued a sweeping injunction against the use of force, saying past practices, quote, shocked the conscience, and 2 days after Judge Aaron Gettleman ordered DHS to improve conditions at the Broadview facility, mandating mats for inmates to sleep on, ample access to water, food, and bathrooms, and greater transparency. In the loop this morning, a group of business and civic leaders, like former U.S. Education Secretary and CPS Superintendent Arnie Duncan, along with Aerial Investment CEO John Rogers and Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce President Jack Lavin. They came together to say they are speaking out against the raids with one unified voice.
This is not about law enforcement. This is actually meant to undermine and to humiliate local authorities and to try and remind folks who really is in charge.
The business leaders say the economic toll from aggressive deportation tactics and a climate of fear is starting to be felt.
Workers and customers alike are afraid for their safety and staying home rather than risking arrest. Tourists are being deterred from visiting our city. The needless unpredictability discourages consumer activity, especially hurting small neighborhood businesses that depend on steady foot traffic.
And just in the last hour, a federal magistrate judge says she will visit the Broadview site next week with attorneys. They are setting up a specific day, but this is part of that temporary restraining order on the Broadview facility. So it looks like there will be some oversight and some monitoring of exactly what it looks like in there. Terrence?
All right, Paris. A teacher detained by immigration agents at a North Center daycare is now at an ICE facility in Indiana. Her attorneys say she's here legally and is an authorized asylum seeker. The Department of Homeland Security claims the woman went into the daycare while trying to escape from agents during a traffic stop. She's supposed to be in federal court next week. Her attorneys say they will push for a bond hearing so she can be released.
A new trial for the boss of Chicago's Four Corner Hustlers is about to begin. Opening statements are slated for Monday for LeBar Bromanspan. He was convicted in 2021 on several murder charges. He was facing life in prison, but a new trial was ordered after claims that prosecutors made secret promises to a witness in the case.
Still ahead on the news at 5, a high school basketball coach is in trouble after an overseas trip his team took a few months ago.
Now he's standing on business and defending that decision even after his appeal.
We also have an update on inbox cases. We'll be right back. The U.S. Supreme Court is deciding whether to take up an appeal that would overturn the court's decision back in 2015 that made same-sex marriage legal. A Kentucky court clerk who was jailed and fined for denying marriage licenses has asked the court to overturn the law. Now, it's a long shot. Only one of the 9 justices has called for the ruling to be erased.
HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. is taking his vaccine fight overseas. He's at a convention on mercury in Switzerland, making a push to remove a mercury-based preservative from all vaccines. Now, he claims that it's been linked to miscarriages and autism in children. Back in July, HHS adopted a new recommendation to remove it from all flu vaccines. But at least 5 different vaccines that have the preservative are listed as options for this year's shots. And the CDC's website, updated just last week, shows no link to any harm caused by low doses of mercury in vaccines.
The medical community, the CDC, were all aligned that the flu vaccine is safe and is effective, and we highly recommend it. But if you are worried, talk to your doctor.
The preservative is used in vials containing several doses of the flu vaccine to prevent dangerous bacteria from growing.
Mpox never went away, but attention did. Chicago reported 13 new cases last week. That brings the total to 133 since June. That's up from just 30 in August. Nationwide, the CDC has confirmed about 35,000 cases since 2022. Now, most of Chicago's cases involve men, mainly gay and bisexual. Latino and Hispanic men are seeing the biggest jump. In suburban Cook County, over 1/3 of cases are Hispanic or Latino. Health officials say close contact, including in detention facilities, can drive spread. Fox 32 has asked the Department of Homeland Security if there is a plan to contain it. We'll let you know when we hear back. Ms. Scott Bertani with the National Coalition for LGBTQ Health says public health messaging and access still go hand in hand.
You can have the greatest CDC, you can have the greatest local health department, but if the awareness of that has to happen at the expense of cases, like in new infections, I think it's a way to redirect that strategic health messaging and be more proactive. Reactive always costs a lot more, and then it affects individual lives.
The pop-up vaccine event is Sunday at Touche Bar. Another is next week at Steamworks. The Mbox vaccine requires 2 doses to work.
It's the end of an era. After more than 200 years, the Farmer's Almanac will publish its final edition. The publication announced that its 2026 edition will be its last, citing financial challenges of producing and also distributing the book. For centuries, it used a secret formula based on sunspots, planetary positions, and lunar cycles to generate long-range weather forecasts. But the Old Farmer's Almanac is still going strong. It's been around since 1792 and says it is not going anywhere anytime soon.
How you feel about that, Mark Joe?
I use it to line my bird yeah, it's really quite effective. So it works out really well for me that way.
Do this to us. We already laughed earlier. I said standing on business. I don't know why I said it. We couldn't keep up with that. And you do this to us.
Oh, he said the barricade.
Why?
Well,
I'm out of here. I can't do this anymore.
Go ahead, take a break.
Here's what's going on tonight. We do have partly cloudy skies right now. It is going to start to get a little bit cool coming up here pretty quickly. 60s right now across parts of the area. We're falling into the 50s over the next couple of hours. And by tomorrow, we're into the 40s, 30s after that. Let's take a look at the next 48 hours. You can see a couple of sprinkles are possible as we go through the evening hours. Not really showing up on the forecast models here in the city, but I think north and northwest of the city. Tonight, we're down into the 40s. Some rainfall tomorrow, 100% chance. I think everyone sees some rain. That rain mixes with and changes over to some snowfall as we go through the evening and the overnight hours. And here comes Sunday. A little mix of sun and clouds is possible, but temperatures only in the 30s. It's going to be blustery if you're going to the Bears game, and some lake effect snow showers, especially northwest Indiana and southwestern Michigan. Could that splash move over in our direction, give us a little shot? Stand by. We'll keep you posted to you.
I can't get over the bird cage. I'm sorry, Mark. Okay. I'm going to try to get through this, be professional. There are a lot of fun things that are taking place around the city this weekend, from holiday festivities to comedy shows. Here are a couple of events that you can go and check out. You can kick off your holiday season at the Museum of Science and Industry. That's happening tomorrow morning at their Christmas Around the World. This is absolutely beautiful. I've been there. More than 50 Christmas trees from different cultures will be on display, and you can hear a performance from the Leo Boys High School Choir, all for free. You can also take pictures there. You do have to pay for that. The Chicago Toy and Game Fair, it returns to Rosemont this weekend. The weekend will have interactive exhibits, toy demos, and fun for the entire family. Tickets can be found on their website, shytag.com. And tonight at the Cadillac Palace Theater, fans of the Twilight Saga can immerse themselves in the world of vampires and werewolves at a candlelight Twilight concert. A live orchestra will perform the movie's original songs while it is playing. Tickets for the performance can be purchased at twilightconcert.com. And a few festivals are also going down this weekend. Chicago Asian American Jazz Festival and the 312 Comedy Festival. They both begin tonight. You can find more events happening this weekend on our website, box32chicago.com. Stay with us. Maybe you want to laugh too. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thousands of victims of January's Palisades fire in Southern California are suing the city of LA and the state of California.
The $10 billion class action lawsuit accuses the state and local government of failures of epic proportions.
Sarah Aligre is live in the Pacific Palisades. Sarah, walk us through all of this.
Well, Tia, Terrence, so much back and forth here, and it all started days before the Palisades fire on January 1st. When that smaller fire erupted, we had firefighters, they rushed to the scene. Then later that same day, the LAFD said, hey, this thing's contained. But now we're learning some on the scene weren't so sure.
I couldn't be sure that we would make it out.
10 months ago, we were there as Casey Sabani and his family saw what was left of their home for the first time after the Palisades fire.
Just knew we've got to get out of here.
Today, they're still struggling to move on.
We are living the aftermath, and we've seen it, unfortunately, firsthand with a lot of kids who have their own form of trauma.
Casey is one of thousands who lost everything, and now lawyers for the victims and their families are seeking billions in damages from several entities.
There were systemic failures, both on the state and city level, in terms of the government actors, but there were also failures by non-governmental actors as well.
Here's where it gets complicated. The Palisades fire didn't just start on January 7th, according to federal prosecutors. On New Year's Day, 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht is accused of starting a smaller brush fire known as the Lockman Fire. The LAFD said firefighters contained and put out the fire the same day. On January 2nd, a battalion chief ordered crews to pack up and leave, according to texts obtained by the LA Times. Some firefighters warned it was too soon, even texting their boss it was a bad idea.
What we're seeing here is a record of knowing about the risks, being warned, but despite that, not properly deploying resources, not having effective communication and coordination.
Days later, on January 7th, the fire reignited and eventually exploded into the Palisades fire. Federal investigators later determined the fire smoldered and burned deep underground for days, untraced, until uncontrollable high winds created a firestorm. The lawsuit claims the city and state didn't follow their own rules and that failures to keep water and power running, along with poor land management, made the fire worse. Newsom's office says that's false, saying in part the state didn't start this fire, that was an arsonist, and the state wasn't responsible for responding to or monitoring this fire, but opportunistic plaintiffs' attorneys are now going after the California Department of Parks and Rec.
It's wrong to say that all of this is solely because somebody started a fire on January 1st. There's so much more that happened that caused the outcome that we are dealing with today.
And now a federal grand jury has subpoenaed the Los Angeles Fire Department for those text messages obtained by the Los Angeles Times that warn of hot spots in the area, smoke and smoldering. Tia, Terrence, back to you.
Sarah Aligre live for us. Thank you so much. Well, investigators in Louisville, Kentucky are still combing over the site of the deadly UPS plane crash.
Just heartbreaking. 13 people were killed. 10 of those people were on the ground and 9 people are still missing. The NTSB says the plane's left engine fell off the wing shortly after the plane left the ground. The agency says 37 seconds after takeoff, a bell is heard on the cockpit audio, which repeatedly played until the end of the recording 25 seconds later. During this time, the NTSB says the crew was trying to control the plane before the crash.
A massive fire in the Bronx puts 2 New York City firefighters in the hospital. Look at how massive this was. This started as a garbage fire and spread to several cars, causing a massive explosion. Investigators believe the fire was started by someone, quote, carelessly throwing their cigarette butt out.
Love this one here. This elementary school teacher in California has already run 150 marathons, but now she is taking on her biggest challenge yet. She is setting her sights on the World Marathon Challenge, where runners will run 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days.
Fly on a cargo plane to Antarctica. We run a marathon in Antarctica, and that's when the clock begins for our 7 days. We fly back to on the cargo plane to South Africa, run that marathon, then we take a chartered plane the rest of the continents.
Sounds like she got the energy for it, though. An incredible feat. It seems impossible, especially for someone who didn't even call herself an athlete, let alone a runner, until she was 40.
When I was growing up, I read books, I played with dolls, I was in Girl Scouts, but I didn't do anything athletic. And then as I got older, I would just go to the beach and hang out with my friends. I wasn't athletic. And for the very first time, I called myself an athlete. The second half of my life.
That's incredible. Tracy is 62, didn't start running until 24 years ago after her mom passed away of breast cancer. She was looking for a way to move through her grief, and she picked up this hobby. More than anything, Tracy says she wants to inspire older women that, yes, they can believe and achieve.
A college basketball player is making history at 7'9" tall. Yes, University of Florida's Olivier Roux is the tallest college basketball player to ever appear in a game. The freshman made his debut yesterday, playing the final 2 minutes. I was trying to see his shoes because usually when you're that tall, your feet are pretty big too.
That's
crazy.
Constant life of worrying about door jams, of people asking you to pick stuff off the top shelves for them.
Fitting in a car.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I didn't
All of
even
the
think about that. All right, this year's Grammy nominations are finally out.
Yes, and leading the pack are past and future Super Bowl performers.
A Tina win coming up later in sports. Bears fresh off of their best offensive performance of the season and once again face a struggling defense, this time at home against Giants. Hear from head coach Ben Johnson and whether or not TJ Edwards plans to play.
All right, we're checking back in on breaking news. We've been following a stolen ambulance chase on the west side, ended with 4 Chicago police officers hurt. Scott Fox was there when it happened at Chicago and Cicero. You can see, or you saw there, the ambulance crashes head on with the squad car before rear-ending another vehicle. The suspect, who sources say was a mental patient, was taken into custody. We're also hearing there were shots fired by police. Now, we saw the suspect crash into several other cars during the chase, and also driving oncoming traffic on several streets. We'll have the latest for you tonight on the news at 9. Well, the basketball coach for Simeon Career Academy is in trouble for taking his players on an overseas trip. But he says he didn't know he broke a rule and even got the trip approved through CPS.
He took his team on a similar trip a couple of years ago and was hit with violations for that too. But he tells us he didn't make money off of any of these trips, and he's not staying silent.
My message to Chicago is, you know, we got to step up and do things that may be untraditional, unconventional to help these kids.
For Coach Tim Flowers, basketball has never been just about the scoreboard. It's a passport, a way out, a way up, a way to give back. And for boys growing up in some of the toughest communities on the South Side, it's a way to be exposed to life beyond violence.
I got 2 young men. He's lost his father to gun violence. He was in a car with his cousin Greg, who was a freshman at Simeon, got killed by gun violence. He's lost so many people, and it's pent up in him, it's built up in him.
That's why the coach for Simeon Career Academy's Wolverines didn't hesitate at the chance for an overseas trip to Hong Kong this September for 6 days. Coach Flowers says it was never about competition.
And we were going for a cultural exchange, foreign exchange opportunity, but it was around the game of basketball, using basketball as a magnet to bring not only our kids to Hong Kong, but they also brought kids from Australia, kids from Japan, kids from Malaysia. Our boys were able to get out into the country with them. They were able to go out and go eat with them.
Documents provided by Flowers and reviewed by the Fox Chicago News team show Chicago Public Schools officially approved the trip before departure.
And this letter right here is the itinerary for everything we submitted to CPS that we would do on the trip.
Okay, so they were aware that you were going, exactly what you would do every single day.
Yes.
Those same records indicate the trip sponsors included Goat Lab, a Hong Kong-based training group, and the Derrick Rose Foundation, which helped fund travel costs for the players. Rose played at the school, along with many other NBA greats. But despite the approval, the IHSA later ruled that the trip violated bylaws restricting team activities outside the official season, citing organized practices, scrimmages, and coach instruction. Flowers appealed, and this letter from IHSA issued on October 15th came with harsher penalties.
And that turned into 6-game suspension for myself, a steady 4 games for my 2 assistant coaches. They reduced the number of season games we can play from 31 to 28. And then they also took away 3 or 4 of our initial practice days by pushing us back from November 10th, when everybody else in the state would be starting. They pushed us back to November 13th.
Now, Flowers says what hurts most isn't the suspension, it's the inconsistency. He argues that other Illinois programs have participated in fall leagues and out-of-state showcases without any consequences.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
If people are doing fall play, wouldn't that fall into the same thing?
The timing, Flowers says, couldn't be worse. With 7 seniors on the roster, many hoping to earn college scholarships, missing those first few games could mean missed opportunities in front of recruiters.
Maybe it's a college coach down there that might see one of our seniors and say, man, who is this kid? Let me follow him. So taking those 3 games away from them potentially takes opportunities away from them for sure.
Despite his frustration, Flowers says he'll take the hit and stay focused on the bigger picture. To him, the mission has always been bigger than basketball.
Would you do the trip again?
I would.
And take the same consequences?
I would. I won't stop fighting to get these kids opportunities. I prayed to God for that, and God has answered that by giving me the ability to provide resources and opportunities for these kids. Just so happened I went to Simeon and I coached there.
Tia Ewing, Fox 32 Chicago.
Well, of course, we did reach out to the IHSA and CPS for comment, and this is what CPS is telling us. This is part of their statement. It reads, Chicago Public Schools takes the findings and recommendations of the Illinois High School Association seriously and remains committed to ensuring that district policies and procedures uphold the highest ethical standards.
All right. Well, it is almost that time. Are you ready?
Why are you doing it like that?
Because I was deciding if I wanted to hit that note like Mariah Carey, but I didn't want to. Oh, that was good.
Well, I would probably, somebody's TV probably cracked, and I'll pay for it. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah,
Don't
but
say
snow
that.
is on the way. As long as it's one TV.
First of all, I know the TV didn't crack, but, you know, someone might say, oh, look, it had an old janky TV. Look, Tia, you cracked it. You owe me in the TV.
You're right. Drag me into
I'm
court.
just saying. You know, I've been hanging around too many lawyers lately. I'm just saying. Here's what's going on as we go through the evening hours where we hit the 60s today. Some areas still in the 60s, a couple of towns reporting stations, but we'll push through the 50s into the 40s overnight tonight. We will have kind of partly cloudy skies, a couple passing sprinkles, mostly up in the North Shore, and then tomorrow a better chance of rainfall. In fact, I'm forecasting a 100% chance of rain. And then these are the wind gusts coming up over the next 48 hours. Not too bad tomorrow. But watch what happens, especially as we go into Saturday night and Sunday. We'll have winds gusting up over 30 miles per hour. That's on Sunday with the daytime highs. Remember, we're in the 60s today. On Sunday, we fall into the 30s for daytime highs. with 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts. It's going to be a blustery day if you're going to Soldier Field. Bundle up properly because it is going to be raw, especially with some lake effect snow across parts of northwest Indiana. We'll talk more about that. I've got the complete 7-day forecast, which does have a warmer note towards the end, coming up in a moment.
The 2026 Grammy nominations are finally here.
And who else but Kendrick Lamar leads this year's crop with 9 nominations. You trying to
Yeah, I'm trying to do a whole lot over here in the seat. He's up for 9 trophies, including Record, Song, and Album of the Year for GNX. This is the 3rd time he's had simultaneous nominations in those big categories. GNX is his 5th consecutive studio album to be nominated for Album of the Year, something no other artist has ever done. He has 22 Grammy career wins.
Lady Gaga has the 2nd most nominations at 7. She's up for Record of the Year for that song, Abracadabra, I don't know the words. It's from her Mayhem album, which is up for Album of the Year.
Sabrina Carpenter is up next with 6 nominations. Man-Child, which you just heard, is up for Song of the Year. She's also nominated for Record of the Year, Album of the Year, and Best Pop Vocal Album for Man's Best Friend.
Yo estoy en PR tranquilo, pero debí tirar más fotos de cuando te tuve. Debí darte más besos y abrazos las veces que pude.
One heck of a year for Bad Bunny. He's performing at the Super Bowl next year, but he also has 6 nominations for his album. This is only the 2nd all-Spanish language album to be nominated in the Album of the Year category. The first one, by the way, was also Bad Bunny in 2023.
Anxiety, keep on trying me. I feel it quietly. watching me and my anxiety.
Yeah, Doechii has 5 nominations, all for that song, Anxiety. What?
I've never
Sarah?
seen this music video. I wasn't expecting them men to jump through the window.
You jumped. That includes Song and Record of the Year and Best Music Video. Last year, she was the 3rd woman to ever win Best Rap Album, and that happened last year.
Throwing petals like, do you love me or not? Head is spinning and they don't know when to stop. You said forever, babe, did you mean it or not?
Love that song. Justin Bieber is up for Album of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Album for Swag. The song you heard is called Daisies. It's also up for Best Pop Solo Performance. He has 4 total nominations.
Chappell Roan, Standing on Business, has 2 nominations for that song, The Subway. It's up for Record of the Year and Best Pop Solo Performance.
Bring us down.
If you could only see Cassie Carlson lip syncing to this right now. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande scored a nomination for Defying Gravity, and Wicked. It's up for Best Pop Duo Group Performance. Wicked is also nominated for Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media.
Every parent out there knows this too, because your kids keep listening to it over and over again. Maybe they were Rumi, Mira, I can't remember the other one's name for Halloween. Who was it? Say it one more time.
Zoe.
Oh, hurry up, she told me. Okay, finally, Huntrix X, the fictional band from the Netflix movie K-Pop Demon Hunters, snagged 4 nominations for that song you just heard. Golden, including Song of the Year. Yeah, our producer is on one this week. She's telling me, speed it on up. Okay, well, Old Man Winter may be coming our way. The first snow of the season could be as soon as tomorrow.
Slow enough would never call you out. Mark will tell us which areas might be seeing the most flakes in his full forecast after the break.
I'm Cassie Carlson. The White Sox hire a Chicagoland native as their new hitting coach. Northwestern has a top 20 matchup against USC tonight on Fox. And linebacker TJ Edwards has been ruled out Sunday against the Giants. Ben Johnson gives an update on an injury that required surgery. We have the details next in sports.
All right, we're getting you ready for what's heading our way.
How? How are you getting them ready?
I don't, because Mark is here. He's going to tell them.
Telling them,
Yeah.
right? Explaining.
Will we need the snowblower? Will we need the shovels?
No shovels, no
Hat,
snow blowers.
gloves.
There you go.
Scarf.
Thank you very much. Yes, especially on Sunday if you're going to the Bears game, because it's going to be cold and windy. Cassie, it's going to be cold and windy. Cassie will be at the Bears game, and it's going to be in the 30s with maybe even some 30-mile-per-hour gusts. So today we hit temperatures into the 60s. Tomorrow, these are your daytime highs into the 40s. By Sunday, 30s. And yes, we do have some rain and snow mixing together in the forecast, especially tomorrow night, and some lake effect snow Sunday into Monday. Now, that right now looks like it will mainly affect northwest Indiana, southwest Michigan, but we still could have some lake effect snow here. We will keep a sharp eye on that over the next 36 hours. 59 right now. That's still warm. Winds out of the west-southwest at 8 miles per hour this hour. And temperatures, again, I told you there were still some 60s holding on. 60 degrees at Midway this hour. Most other locations are in the 50s, but you know what? Upper 50s in Rockford, upper 50s right now in LaSalle, Peru, 59 degrees. I also told you there'd be a couple of sprinkles, some isolated showers. They're showing up on Doppler radar right now, and you see those primarily north of Interstate 88. These are going to kind of dance across the screen here over the next couple of hours, move in and move out. Not a long-term problem for us, and not anything really heavy tonight. The heavier rainfall comes tomorrow. So satellite and radar, here come the clouds, some showers associated with that, and this weak little disturbance coming primarily right along the Wisconsin state line border. But as we go through the next couple of days, it looks like this. Tomorrow, rainfall, could see some moderate to heavy rainfall, especially midday into the afternoon. Some of that will likely mix with some snow, especially during the evening and the overnight hours as we go into Saturday night and early Sunday morning. Sunday, lake effect snow, could see a little sunshine here in Chicago. Again, the lake effect snow, primarily the bottom end of the lake. Some flurries are also possible on Monday. But look at those daytime highs, only in the 30s. Only in the 30s, and we're in the 60s today. All right, so there's the little weak disturbance that pushes through tonight. Tomorrow, here comes the rainfall. This is just before 9 o'clock in the morning. Still dry here in Chicago, but the rain doesn't take long here mid-morning into the afternoon to get here. Some heavier rainfall in the yellow and the reds. This will make a little dent, at least, in those very dry conditions that we have across northern Illinois. And then Sunday, here we are, lake effect snow. That plume setting up right across the lake and shooting that snow right into primarily northwest Indiana, but we'll keep an eye on possibly seeing some snowfall here as well. All right, a person that will be on the receiving end of some of that cold and that wind at Soldier Field. Here's Cassie.
Yeah, Mark, Ben Johnson calls that football weather, and the Bears are on to the second half of their season on Sunday when they welcome in the Giants. The goal is to go 3-1 over the next 4 games, and of course, you don't want to overlook the Giants because of their 2-7 record. Tina Nguyen has the latest from Hallis Hall.
8 games into the Ben Johnson era, and the Bears are off to their best start through 8 games since 2020. They're finding ways to win, plain and simple. As Johnson says, they're slowly changing the narrative around this team.
You know, we've got opportunities right now and we got playmakers to come back, and we're never out of it. I think those guys understood that, you know, there's a certain narrative out there about them, and they wanted to change that narrative.
While the Bears have won 5 of their last 6, the defense continues to deal with a growing list of injuries. Linebacker TJ Edwards has been ruled out with both a hand and hamstring injury.
He got surgery on that, and he's going to, the hand's not going to hold him back. You know, that's something that I think we'll be able to cast up, and he'll be okay. But between that and then he had a hamstring as well. So we're working through both those things to get him back.
Is he an IR potential or no?
We're thinking he'll come back before we need to do that.
While the defense continues to battle through injuries, the offense could be getting a boost. Running back DeAndre Swift is listed as questionable, but his potential return would open up more options in the run game for Ben Johnson.
I think we'll get that right balance as we go through it. EB's got a really good feel for guys as they're rolling. I do believe in a guy having a hot hand, so if one guy as he's feeling it and giving us a spark, we might lean on that a little bit longer.
I mean, I'm excited for an opportunity to play again, at the end of the day. But like you said, Bengals is in the past, Giants, they're a worthy opponent. Unlike their record may show other people, but they're a great defense, got great guys up front.
In addition to the injury report, Josh Blackwell has been dealing with a concussion, and Dominique Robinson dealing with an ankle injury. Both guys are officially ruled out on Sunday against the Giants. Reporting from Hallis Hall, I'm Tina Nguyen, Fox 32 Sports.
Thanks, Tina. Coming up next on Fox 32 Chicago, Bears Blitz at 6 o'clock as Lou and Anthony and I preview Sunday's game against the Giants and focus in on how the Bears unicorn Darnell Wright can stop the NFL sack leader in Brian Burns. Then at 6:30, it's Chicago Sports Tonight. We get more from Tina Nguyen at Hallis Hall. Jesse Rogers breaks down the Cubs' moves, and BetMGM's Nick Costas gives us his best picks this weekend. And then, of course, at 8 o'clock right here on Fox, Northwestern heads west to take on 20th-ranked USC, who have won 4 of their last 5 games. As they look to bounce back after their loss 2 weeks ago at Nebraska, this is the first time the Cats are facing USC since the 1996 Rose Bowl. Anthony Herron has a preview of the matchup tonight.
Northwestern Wildcats having a little bit of time to be prepared to take the field. They've got a chance, does David Braun, to attain bowl eligibility on Friday night. They're going to be facing a USC squad who's on a short week. The Trojans were on the road last week in Lincoln, Nebraska in a Saturday night game. So for them, quick turnaround, getting ready to take the field on Friday night. And their quarterback, Jade Mayaba, is coming off his worst game of the season, maybe the worst game he's had as a starter. For the Trojans, look out for Preston Stone and Griffin Wilde, but that physical rushing attack led by Caleb Komalafe, I think that's how Northwestern puts this game at their tempo.
In baseball, White Sox continue to make changes to their coaching staff, hiring Glenview native Derek Showman as their new hitting coach. Showman is a 2008 graduate at Glenbrook South High School and played college ball at the University of Illinois at Springfield, making this a full circle moment to be the coach for a team he grew up a fan of.
It's special, right? Obviously, not only growing up in the northern suburbs of Chicago, but growing up a White Sox fan. And I still recall wearing all my White Sox gear that day and bringing a broom and a dustpan to school, walking around the halls with it for that World Series. I think it was swept the Astros in 05, right? So, yeah, it's super special, man. This has always been home. I really haven't lived anywhere else. Unbelievable opportunity and super grateful for it.
On the hardwood, the 6-1 Bulls look to continue their strong start to the season after a huge comeback win over the Sixers, erasing a 24-point deficit. They are 5-0 at home, but hit the road tonight to face Giannis and the Bucks in an NBA Cup game. Bucks are coming off a 28-point loss to the Raptors. The Blackhawks visit the Flames tonight. Puck drop is at 8 o'clock, and 17th-ranked Illinois hosts Florida Gulf Coast tonight at 7:30. That's it for sports. We'll be right back.
Fox.
Snowman winter is on the way.
You got to do it like The Voice.
What's the voice?
I wanted to mix it up. Snowman, old man.
Oh, snowman weather.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think you're going to have enough snow to build well, maybe a little one.
A little tiny one.
Yeah. So a lot going on here. 60s today, 40s tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a very wet day. It's going to rain for much of the afternoon. Some of that rain will mix with and change over to some snow late in the day, most likely into the evening and the overnight hours. Sunday, actually, there could be a little break and some sunshine, but at the same time, it's going to be very windy and very cold with temperatures in the 30s, and there will be some lake effect snow. So I think that's primarily focused on northwest Indiana, but we'll keep an eye on where it lands its punch.
All right. You got your hand warmers ready?
He told me to dress cute over warm. So I'm blaming Mark when I'm cold.
Well, I'm just trying to help her with career advice.
That's good advice. That's good advice.
Thanks for joining us at 5 o'clock.
Now you can stream us on your smart TV with Fox Local.
Just check all the streaming platforms.
Bears Blitz is next. We'll see you at 9.
Yeah, hold on, let me get a second.
Hell yeah!
I think that's the craziest game I've been part of.
Madness. Straight madness.
Very nerve-wracking.
Hearts are racing. It's nail nibbler time. Nervous as you know what if you're a Bears fan.
And here comes Caleb Williams down a point. This one is far from over.
They're blitzing. It's picked up. Caleb throws. Middle of the field. Loveland catch.
Loveland. That is off his man. He's going to score. Home.
Touchdown Bears.
In a jaw dropper. This is one of the craziest games we have seen in the NFL in recent memory.
As they make him pay in Paycor. And a fade to black here in the jungle.
Bears on 3, 1, 2, 3.
That George McCaskey reaction says everything for all the Bears fans that were watching that game last Sunday. And I hope everyone's heart rate has come back down.
No, I'm ready to go right now.
It's just up even higher. Can we handle that week after week? I don't know. That was the fun one. Yeah, still beating, right? I'm Cassie Carlson alongside Lou Canellis and Anthony Herron. Welcome into Bears Blitz, brought to you by IGS Energy. No one's apologizing for how the Bears won last week, but they have now turned the page to welcome in the 2-7 Giants at home on Sunday, and one of those must-win scenarios, because you don't want this to be a repeat of the Baltimore game 2 weeks ago.
I almost had a grabber. Watching that football game. This game against the Giants is huge, and here's why it's huge.